Yes, sir. We're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Soap Studio, the Dark Knight Trilogy Catwoman figure review.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey I'm fucking with. Hype beast, we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about
And a quick look at the lower left-hand corner, you can see Soap Studio is celebrating 80 years of Batman. And there's a look at the right side of the box. It says Catwoman 112 action figure, figure 011. And there's a look at the opposite side. You can see it says Soap Studio at the top, the Dark Knight Trilogy in the center with the bat emblem, and at the bottom a repeat of what was on the opposite side. Quick look at the back of the box. You can see a Gotham City skyline, and this is actually just a sleeve, so once you pull this off, it reveals their normal packaging. So there's the back and there's the front. Alright, let's bust this bad boy open and see what's what. Alright, here we go. Catwoman from the Dark Knight Trilogy, more specifically the Dark Knight Rises movie. I think that's when she made her appearance, as played by Anne Hathaway in the movie. One of only a handful of depictions of Catwoman on the big screen or on TV. I guess I can remember a few. Eartha Kitt, Lee Merriweather was somebody, Michelle Pfeiffer, probably one of the most iconic. We got Halle Berry as Catwoman at some point in one of the most awful movies of all time. And we are about to get Zoe Kravitz, I think, is that Lenny Kravitz's daughter, and the new Dark Knight Batman, or whatever they're calling it, with the most slender, not diesel Batman of all time. So I will say that it was kind of a pain in the butt to get the plastic off of her lower legs. Usually these figures from Soap come with plastic on the arms and legs, and it was a hassle to get it off the legs this time. I'm a little nervous with how delicate this figure seems, especially at the lower legs, the ankles, those boots. Now, I will say the figure is very light weight, so standing her up is not as challenging as it may seem with those heels. But again, things seem a little shaky at those ankles. And another thing that was really noticeable to me out of the package was that the skin tone on her face does not match the neck at all. That looks nuts. And there's a close look at that face, which looks okay. The likeness is kind of there. It's not the best I've ever seen, but it's surely not the worst I've ever seen. I would just give it a passing grade. I mean, for the price point though, you would think that the head sculpt would be a lot better. And I think that's where Soap Studio needs to kind of step it up, is really nailing the head sculpts to justify the price point. You know, I didn't particularly care for her Catwoman, but I did enjoy the Dark Knight Trilogy. You know, the entire saga was very well done. The Nolanverse, I think, was very well done. I think that whether or not you gravitate towards Marvel or DC, I think Marvel and DC fans can agree that these movies were really good. But yeah, taking a closer look at the deco here, this is all one piece, the leather sort of onesie. It does have a nice texture to it. She is not the most voluptuous young lady, so I think they did a pretty decent job of getting her body type here. So you're not going to see anything really poking out or protruding out on this little onesie. But I guess they kind of nailed the deco, the long leather boots here. And again, it's all black. It's not really any other colors to break up the scope. We're talking about a cat burglar here, so you know it makes sense for her to be in all black with the mask. Of course, they don't want to fully cover the face of their premier pretty actress. You know how that goes in Hollywood. And yeah, the gloves and the boots are supposed to be a separate part from the onesie, and I think that's represented well. And I think that they did a good job here in the back. You know, Mezco figures can look a little nuts sometimes with this stitching down the back. I think theirs looks pretty clean. I do like the way the boots look. These do look really nice, but again, this is super delicate. Look at how that's moving. I am scared to death that these ankles are going to snap. I've complained a lot in the past about Soap Studio and how large the hands are on the male figures. I do think they did a pretty good job here on Catwoman as far as the hands being smaller, so that looks good. But that also brings a smaller wrist peg too, so take a look at that. That is very small. And there's a look at that neck peg. The head does pop off. And an interesting thing to note, this is actually Soap Studio's very first female figure. So this is their first time producing a 112 soft goods fitted female figure. Alright, let's talk accessories. Out of the package, she comes with these two hands that are open with the fingers close together. She's got two fists. She's got a couple of hands with the trigger fingers extended. In fact, she's got two sets of trigger fingered hands because she's got two different weapons, I suppose. She is packing a gat. So let's see if this set is for the handgun. So I went ahead and broke out another one of her accessories because it seems like these are the hands best suited for this particular accessory. So these have the trigger finger extended a bit more than the other set, and I believe this is a EMP gun or something like that, and it looks like it was actually packed in here with Catwoman as a bonus, and you'll be able to use it with Batman, who I do have as well, who will be the next review. So yeah, she can hold this with no issue. Her finger is actually in the trigger groove, so that's cool. Now the articulation does leave a bit to be desired, and that skin tone is really annoying me. Yeah, it is that. It'll take a bit of some finagling to get it up to her eye or get her really aiming it because the articulation is limited. Because she does not have double jointed elbows, it's not the best. Actually, I thought it was two additional trigger fingered hands, but it was actually one right hand, and then the left hand looks like it can be used to kind of simulate her cocking a slide back on the gun or just holding the barrel of the gun like you see here. That looks cool. It's natural. No issues there, but it looks like she's got a little Glock there maybe. And it's interesting to note that the slide, it does come apart actually, so you can take that off like you disassembling the gun, or she's going to clean the gun or something like that. I thought that was pretty cool. Maybe the magazine comes out too. Let's see. Yeah, there's a close look at that. So you can kind of slide it back a bit, but maybe you're not even really supposed to do this. But it is what it is. And then she's got one final set of hands that are open but still kind of cupped. The thumb is separated from the other fingers. These look like they can be utilized to hold a watermelon. I don't know what these are supposed to be for, but I will welcome as many hands and heads as possible. You know, I always say the same thing as far as that goes. Unfortunately, there are no additional head sculpts, so that is another major gripe of mine. The fact that this is a pretty pricey figure that does not have an additional head sculpt. You only get the neutral head sculpt. They could have went the distance and given us an additional head that had her smiling or angry or her teeth gritted or any other thing, but that's it. There are still two more accessories though. And then she's packed in with a couple pair of shades or goggles. I feel like these are night vision goggles. I feel like I remember that from the movie. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But these fit right onto her head. They do kind of look like they are resting on her ears, and they fit right over her little mask, and I think these look pretty damn good. Definitely a little playability. You can put them up, have some type of blowtorch or something in her hand, you know, like she's about to get started cracking a safe, and then put them down, and you know, all of those accessories make for more fun factor and more playability and more options for picture taking. And then the extra pair she has looks as if the arms are flipped around the opposite way, so it looks like, I don't know, I'm vaguely remembering this, that she could kind of just flip the arms up or down. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but there's that. So I mean, they could be fitted to the front of her face, but you would need to put her arm up to her face to hold them. I'm not 100% sure how that's supposed to work, but there you have it. And that's pretty much it for accessories. Well, you do get a stand. All Soap Studio figures have a stand. I won't be showing that, but there was one additional little bonus in there, and that was a Batman 80 Years pen. So this is cool. I'll put this on my bag, put it with my other pens. I got an A.C.B.A. pen, but this has some weight to it, and it's not cheap. It's actually a nice pen, so. All right, let's talk articulation real quick. So Soap Studio usually has really decent articulation, especially for figures with soft goods. This body is actually okay. It is hindered a little bit by the all black sort of pleather onesie. You saw the head was on a little tiny ball joint, so she can look down just about that far. Not gonna look back too far. This is all one solid piece. The hair is a harder plastic. It is a little softer here down at the bottom, but she can move left to right, you know, get some pivot, look up slightly, look down just a little bit. It's decent head and neck articulation. Shoulders on a ball joint, that'll come up just about that far. You can get the arm up just about that far before you start to stress the material there. There's that. And then you do get an upper bicep swivel. I think there is a butterfly joint in there as well, if I'm not mistaken. Again, hindered just a little bit because this is sort of a thick material on her outfit. Only a single jointed elbow, unfortunately. Again, I already talked about that. Seems like you get a bit of a swivel here here at the elbow too, though. Swivel and a hinge on the wrist. You do have to keep kind of pulling up the gloves here a bit as you detach and reattach the different hands. You get upper torso articulation. There is some articulation at the lower abdomen as well. I don't think there's a waist swivel. I can't really tell. Again, it's very thick here at the midsection. The material, leg is going to come up just about that far. No matter what you do with any of these joints, they're kind of going to come back down into place because, again, the material is hindering the articulation, but there is a upper thigh swivel in there. There is a double jointed knee, and then there is a swivel, and I guess you could say a hinge on these feet. But again, these are super delicate. If you're not careful with these, you could forget about it. This will surely snap. Alright, a few size comparisons. Maybe I could do a couple swaps here too, but these are all Soap Studio figures and represent some of the good and the bad, I guess. Now, this Joker figure was from the second movie in the trilogy, and I use this guy a lot as a goon for the Mezco Joker. It fits in really well because you can use the additional mask that comes in the package and put it on another body, and you have two goons. I've done that before. Here's a picture. As far as the tailoring and stuff goes, this is actually pretty decent. I like this figure. Hard to stand though. It took me like 3 or 4 minutes to get him to stand up here. And again, the hands are pretty big, but you can see how he stacks up next to Catwoman with the heels on. If she didn't have heels on, it would probably be about right. And then on the right is the Oliver McQueen, I guess is his name, from the DC TV Universe Green Arrow show. I broke the zipper on the jacket here, so that's why his jacket is just open. But this figure was okay. It had potential. This is early on in their lineage here, and you know, I could see the potential in the company, but again, it left quite a bit to be desired in terms of the fit of the clothing and some of the interchangeable parts and the delicate nature of the figure as well. But there's always some gem with every figure, like the hood here on Green Arrow, which has the bendy wire here, and you could fix this and you could really get it down low over his eyes. I thought that was really cool. And then there she is next to a couple of figures that actually came together in a 2-pack, and this represents some of the figures that fall on the worst side of the scale as far as Soap Studio goes. I had a lot of issues with the arm popping out of the socket on this Ra's al Ghul on the left, but he can double as just a generic ninja when you swap on the other head or swap on some head that you may just have around. But when that arm comes out of the socket inside the cloth gi, it's a pain in the butt to try to get that thing back together. Both of these are kind of hard to stand up, and Bruce does not look like Christian Bale, really. I think they did a better job nailing the likeness of Liam Neeson, but yeah, man, these are not that great. These are both from the first Batman movie in the trilogy. Also had Harvey Dent as well, which I had broke down and just kind of made. I had put a lab coat on this guy and was trying to make like a generic like scientist or something, and I ended up breaking the leg on this one. The foot was very delicate on this figure as well, and I don't even know where the damn foot is, but this came with the Two-Face head and a jacket, and half the jacket was burnt and this and that. I do have all the accessories and stuff. Again, a lot of this soap stuff is good for just incorporating them with your Mezco figures and other figures in the 1/12 scale that are soft goods, and using them as background characters and kit bashing and this and that. So I do enjoy that aspect of these. And not Batman related here, but still Soap Studio, on the left is the Fantastic Beasts Dumbledore figure, which I think is probably one of their best tailored figures here. So this is representing them at their best and getting much better, I think. Now the Catwoman looks decent, but you know, the things that I mentioned are probably unacceptable for the price point. Those ankles, you know, the limited posability, the one head sculpt that's just okay, that does not match with the skin tone of the neck. All of those things are unacceptable for this price point. On the right is the Mezco Catwoman, which is one of their female figures, and Mezco is having a hard time with their female figures as well. This is one that I was really looking forward to, but then ended up being really disappointed by this figure. Now, she still photographs pretty nicely. She's got some decent head sculpts, although the heads are kind of large, but you can see how those two stack up. That looks kind of funny. She loses the neck, but if she actually has the neck, this could kind of work. You know, the head is still big for this body, but I figured because the Soap Studio version was a little taller that, you know, this might work out. But you could kind of finagle it. This, you're not going to be able to make it happen because the peg hole here is very small. So, you know, that's not going to work. And there's a Marvel Legends head, but the same issue. You know, you lose the neck and then you lose everything. But if you can get the head to sit properly on the neck, doesn't look too bad. And that looks ridiculous. The Fison body head is very small. That's a very small female body and head. So that doesn't work. I tried an import head too. I tried the Black Widow head. You know, because the peg was still inside the head, it's not going to work. But the import head is about as small as the Fison head. So it doesn't work as far as the proportions. Another thing to note is you should be careful trying to pull this head off because it's not really meant to be popped off. You know, there is a peg, but there were no interchangeable heads. And the last time I popped it off, I pulled the entire peg out of this neck, which is like a soft rubbery part here, and I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to get it back in, but this is very soft. It looks like I split the rubber a little bit there. I'm just screwing up figures left and right. But yeah, let me get out of here. I'm eager to open the Batman and see what's doing with that and maybe get these two together in some shots, get the promo shots together for this review. Okay figure, not the best. Definitely didn't knock my socks off. I do like the look of the figure overall. This whole like sort of rubbery overlay the suit here does pose a challenge for you trying to pose the figure. So these are all things you should consider. Not one I would highly recommend if you have the disposable income to just throw away on, you know, figures with soft goods and you want to do some kit bashing and world building. Then if you are a big display artist and really into displaying or into customizing the kit bashing, then this may be one you want to get for the parts. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for hanging out. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell down there. And until next time, peace. What are you doing?